An innocent girl gets killed, so her husband turns into a monster and unleashes a dead army onto the world, so that he can wipe out all the people. Will they be stopped? Let's find out today on Story Recaps. We will be covering the first 5 episodes of the Netflix series Castlevania. The movie opens up in the year 1455 in a country named Wallachia. Here, a young woman named Lisa, who wishes to be a doctor to serve mankind, is on her way to meet Vlad Dracula Tepish, an evil vampire with advanced scientific and medical knowledge. When Lisa enters his castle, she is surprised to see the amazing interiors of Tepish's castle, as it is filled with advanced machinery and electricity-powered light bulbs. Tepish confronts Lisa and inquires about her ambition to visit his castle. As the story is set in ancient ages, people during this time take science as black magic, and anyone who uses it is considered a witch. At first, Tepish thinks of Lisa as a strange human being, but when he hears about Lisa's interest to learn science, he decides to share his knowledge with her. Lisa then suggests Tepish travel around the world and explore different places and different people. During the time of teaching, Lisa and Tepish fall in love with each other, and the two eventually get married. The scene then shifts to the year 1475 in the city of Targovist in Wallachia, where Lisa can be seen being burnt alive in the middle of a cathedral. She is actually being punished after a bishop discovered different scientific equipment inside her house and accused her of being involved in witchcraft. The whole city is in the cathedral, witnessing Lisa being burnt alive. On the other hand, when Tepish returns after a long trip from around the world, he meets an elderly lady outside Lisa's house. The lady tells Tepish about his wife being burnt alive in the cathedral. Hearing this, Tepish becomes enraged and uses his powers to teleport himself to the cathedral. He appears in front of the people in the form of fire and warns them to leave Wallachia country within a year. He also tells everyone that if they do not make peace within a year, he will return back to Targovista and kill everyone. Despite the threats, the archbishop present there does not take Tepish seriously and declares him a fictional character. Because of this, Tepish becomes further enraged and he starts demonstrating his powers. In no time, he destroys everything around the cathedral and disappears from there. After that, Tepish returns to his palace and mourns his wife's death. As he decides to summon the army of the night and attack Wallachia after a year, his son, Adrian, approaches him and tries to stop him from doing so. Adrian then suggests Tepish go after the man who was responsible for Lisa's death, but the latter becomes enraged and attacks him instead. The scene then fasts forward by a year, and the people of Wallachia can be seen celebrating, as Dracula Tepish didn't show up during the 1-year period. While the head archbishop declares that Tepish is a fictional character and can do no harm to the city, the sky suddenly turns black, and rain, filled with blood, starts falling on the people. Moments later, Tepish appears from the sky and releases his army of the night, including deadly creatures, which attack the people of Wallachia and start killing them. The head archbishop also gets killed by one of the creatures, but still, a vengeful Tepish orders his army to kill every human being present in the country. When the army of the night spreads around the area, the people of Wallachia for some reason blame one of the most noble families in town, the Belmonts, for the destruction caused by Tepish. In the next scene, Trevor Belmont, the last member alive of the Belmont family, is drinking in a pub in Grasset. There, when a drunk man notices the Belmont family emblem on his dress, he stops him and attacks him, accusing him of the destruction caused by the army of the night. Soon, other people present there also start hitting Belmont. Trevor tries to make them understand that they are not the ones responsible for all this, but the people do not listen and continue hitting him. Enraged, he fights back in defense and single-handedly defeats each one of them. Following this, he heads out of the pub and spends his night in a jungle, sleeping under a tree. The next morning, Trevor wakes up and walks around the city of Grasset. While walking around, he witnesses the destruction of the area caused by the army of the night. Soon, he walks past a pile of dead people and talks with the residents about the attacks. He finds out that the people also blame the Speakers for Dracula's repeated attacks. The Speakers are a nomadic group who have profound knowledge about history and are also believed to have some magical powers. Here, we get to know that the church is spreading rumors about the Speakers getting involved in the Dracula rivalry. They are doing so as they want to hide the fact that they themselves started the war by killing Dracula's beloved wife. In the next scene, Trevor comes across a couple of corrupt church priests who are trying to threaten a speaker, Elder, to walk away from their town. At first, Trevor decides to stay out of trouble, but when the priests take out knives to threaten Elder, he fights them and sends them away. Impressed by the heroism, Elder takes Trevor to meet with other members of the group. He also tells Trevor that they are staying at Grasset to save the city from the Army of the Night. Trevor suggests the speakers walk away from Grasset, but Elder refuses after informing him about his grandchild, who has gone to the catacombs below the city to wake up the sleeping soldier. The speakers believe that the sleeping soldier is the only person alive who can fight with Dracula's army and defeat them. Hearing this, Trevor makes Elder promise that they will leave Grasset if he successfully recovers the body of his grandchild and brings it to them. Following this, Trevor reaches the location as suggested by the speakers and walks inside to search for the missing child. He then enters an abandoned, dark building and starts proceeding forward after lighting a wooden pole. On exploring the building, Trevor realizes that the place is so strangely built that it matches the description of Dracula's castle that he heard during his childhood. Unfortunately, just as he takes a few steps ahead, the floor of the building breaks and he falls down to another floor. There he notices a lot of people petrified and frozen in place, including the speaker that he is searching for. He tries to bring the speaker back to life, but suddenly, a giant one-eyed monster, Cyclops, approaches him and attacks him with his special power of petrification. Fortunately, Trevor somehow manages to dodge the attacks and hides behind the walls. The Cyclops keeps chasing him and tries to petrify him with its powers, but Trevor cleverly evades it each time. When he gets an opening, he impeccably uses his knife and attacks it directly in the eye, eliminating it instantly. As soon as the Cyclops dies, the speaker, who had been petrified, comes back to life. Witnessing Trevor beside her, she gets taken aback. Wasting no time, Trevor explains the entire situation to her and mentions that they have to leave Grasset soon. Moments later, Trevor brings the girl, Sypha, back to the speaker and reunites them. Elder becomes ecstatic, seeing her granddaughter alive, and thanks Trevor for his selfless act. A while later, Trevor informs them that the place where Sypha was found is Dracula's castle, which is designed to trap the people who try to invade it. He also mentions that there is no existence of any sleeping soldiers there. Despite all the explanation, the speakers do not believe him and insist there must be something important in the place, because of which it was guarded by the Cyclops. However, Trevor refuses to believe any of it, and he walks away from there. As soon as he reaches a bit far from the speakers, some priests from the church capture him and bring him to the Archbishop. This Archbishop is the same one who executed Lisa after declaring her a witch. Meanwhile, he threatens Trevor to leave the city before sunset, and also mentions that if he does not do so, he will be killed. The Archbishop further states that they are going to kill the speakers at night. Here, we get to know that Trevor's family used to fight against black magic, but were defamed by the church, who spread false rumors that the Belmont family worked in the favor of black magic and assisted Dracula. As a result, the Belmont family is despised by the local people, and they are forced to leave the place. The church also accused the speakers with the same reason, so that the real truth can stay hidden. In the next scene, Trevor returns to the speakers and tells them everything about how they are going to be killed after sunset. Despite the imminent threat, the speakers refuse to leave the city of Grasset and instead devise a plan against the church and the priests. After sunset, a large mob approaches the place where the speakers were staying and starts breaking the doors. Surprisingly, when they open the door, instead of the speakers, they find Trevor inside, waiting for them to arrive. Here it is revealed that after the speakers refused to leave, Trevor took them to Dracula's castle and asked them to hide there. Meanwhile, when the priests try to attack Trevor, he fights back and escapes from the building, but not before releasing his traps and destroying the entire building. Following this, the sun sets, and the Army of the Night attacks the city of Grasset with full power. They invade the church and proceed to attack the Archbishop who executed Lisa. Though the Archbishop tries his best to stop the demonic creatures by showing them the cross, it has no effect on them. A while later, he is devoured by one of the creatures and killed instantly. On the other hand, Trevor can be seen running in the city, trying to get away from the mob chasing him. Sadly, after running for some time, he reaches a dead end and gets surrounded by people who are desperate to kill him. When the people start walking towards Trevor with weapons, Sypha arrives there and, using her powers, makes a fire circle around Trevor. This prevents the people from attacking him. Taking this as the perfect opportunity, Trevor reveals the truth about the church and informs everyone that the speakers are innocent and have no connection with Dracula's attacks. He also tells them that the Archbishop and the church are the ones responsible for all the atrocities, but have hidden the truth for a long time. Finally, he exposes the priests present there, who were poised to attack him. After getting to know the real truth, the citizens get angry at the church and the priests. They immediately attack the priests and eliminate them. But sadly, the church is not their main problem at the moment, but the army of the night is. Being a member of the family which used to fight against devils and evil creatures, Trevor decides to assist the people of Grasset in their battle against the army of the night. Soon, he begins to devise a plan so that the people can defend themselves against the evil creatures. He instructs the armed men to create a front line of defense with their weapons in an upright position. Furthermore, he asks the unarmed people to fetch as much holy water and salt as they can find. In the following scene, when the creatures approach the city and start wreaking havoc, Trevor suggests the people work according to his commands. The people are instructed to use sharp weapons to attack the creatures and eliminate them with the use of holy water. Sypha also uses her powers and creates a wall around the creatures, compelling them to walk toward the traps set for them. Surprisingly, the plan works and the people start slaughtering the creatures. As everything is unfolding at a rapid pace, the floor starts crumbling beneath Trevor and Sypha. Moments later, it completely breaks, sending them plummeting into the city's underground catacombs, aka Dracula's castle. Having no way to climb back to the ground, Trevor and Sypha move farther inside the castle. While doing so, they come across a stone coffin from which a vampire-like person steps out. Sypha believes the person to be the sleeping soldier, but Trevor doubts it to be someone else as he is a vampire. After some verbal fighting, Trevor and the vampire get into a battle. However, before a conclusion can take place, Sypha intervenes in the fight and stops it. Following this, Sypha inquires about his real identity, and the vampire tells them that he is Adrian, aka Alucard, who is the son of Dracula Tepish. He states that he also has no intentions to harm anyone, as his mother used to work for humans and help them. He further mentions that he wants to stop his father from attacking more humans and harming them. In the last scene, Alucard explains that he was actually testing Sypha and Trevor's skills, and also tells them that the story of the sleeping soldier is actually a prophecy from the future. At last, the three get ready to take on Dracula and put a stop to the battle once and for all.